So, you want to learn Blender, but all the tutorials are like 1 hour long donut tutorials, and you're like, I just want to learn Blender. And so, this is just 10-minute tutorial, hopefully, and I'm just going to show you the basics. So first, starting screen. A lot of people talk a lot doing this, but just press general. All the other stuff, just random, different versions. So if you're on a mouse, which some people are, that scroll button, if you press down on it and move the mouse, it will move the screen. And for people just on the like pad thing, just put two hands on it and scroll, which it works. They don't say it anywhere, but it works. And I've never had a mouse, so that's always how it works. And a lot of people spend a lot of time talking here too, but it's this is in the center. You've got your 3D view, everything you need. This you don't really need to worry about now. This either. These are tools, but you'll put them into hotkeys later. So all you have to do is press a button and it activates that, and most people never actually look at that. So to start, you can either select everything by clicking and dragging, and it makes a box, and you can select everything, or press A, and that also selects everything. You can see here, this is all the objects in your scene, and these are all the things. You start with a camera, a light, and a cube. We don't need any of this for now, so you can just press delete. Now to add an object, or really anything, you're gonna press shift, hold shift, press A, and then this little menu pops up. These are all like mostly physical things. A lot of these you don't need until later, but mesh is the basic stuff. Then you got like a plane, cube, circle, all that good stuff. There's also this monkey, which is a default, and I think it's kind of funny. Construct a Suzanne mesh. I think that's like the monkey that was on the airplane or the rocket ship and went into space or something. But you can just start with a cube. Look at it. Oh, zoom in and zoom out is the same. If you hold shift and then use the same thing to change your view, it like moves it to the side, and you can get a lot of views by doing this. This menu also pops up when you add it, and you can edit this. Its location, rotation, and size. And 2 meters, it doesn't make it look like it, but when you create the default world, each of these blocks right here are 1 meter long. So if you convert that into real life things, this block is about as tall as a average human, I think. So now that you have this cube, the Blender has 2 main modes. It's got object mode and it has edit mode. Object mode is used to select objects. You can click anywhere out of the cube and it deselects the cube. Select the cube, it selects the cube. And up here, there's a little thing up here that allows you to switch between object mode and edit mode. And there's a bunch of more modes that we don't really need until later. Edit mode is the second mode. It looks somewhat the same. When you first click it, it selects everything, and you can see it's selected because it's in orange. In edit mode, there's 3 primary modes within it. Select modes. These are used to decide what you select, because right now, everything I'm selecting is these little dots here at the edges of the cube. I don't know if those are very visible, but those little dots there. You can switch between these. You can go into vertex, which is the sides. And there are these things, all the sides of the cube. And then finally, you have the third one, which is face, which allows you to select different faces. So now let's go back into object mode. You can also press tab to switch between modes. This goes between object mode and edit mode. And once back in object mode, there's a few quick things that you can do from object mode. First, easiest thing is G. G is one of the most simple things. It stands for grab, but sometimes it can be simply thought of move. So when you press G, a thing shows up in the top of the screen that shows you how much your cube has moved. And when you move your mouse, it moves. Although, one thing to keep in mind is it moves directly proportional to the way that you're looking. So sometimes when I would think I want to move it up to the top of my screen, it's also moving up as in up on the overall axis. So if you want to just move it on the X and Y coordinates, what I just did there is I clicked on the blue Z on this, I think it's called a gizmo, and pressing this Z brings me to the top view because it's on the top. And then you can also use other ones like positive Y goes to this view, X goes to this view. And these can be easily used when if you want to press G but don't want to have to worry about putting it in a specific spot. So I can recenter that. Also, if you want to undo anything, you can always press Control Z. That works on Blender. I don't know if it works on all other things. It works on some things, and yeah. And the next thing I want to do is, there's three main ones, which is location, rotation, and scale. So we already did location. So now for rotation, it's also simple. R for rotate, press R. You can move your mouse to rotate the cube. Rotate it back to its original position. Now it's might be slightly rotated, yeah. And you can also do this again, you rotate it on a locked axis so that your cube only rotates on that axis and not other axes. And the final one is scale. So you can just press S, and like the other ones, just move your mouse and it gets bigger, it gets smaller, whatever you want. And in addition to just being able to do these, you can do these on certain axes. This red line here, that's the x-axis. This yellow line is the y-axis, and the blue line isn't here, but it's the z-axis. It shows here the blue is z. So, and the way you can do this is quite simple. Say I want to move it along the x-axis, I want to move it over there to this side of my screen, I can just press G, and then after pressing G, because I want to move it on the x-axis, I'm just going to press X, and it starts to slide around that axis and that axis only. So then I can move it over here. Let's say I want to move it also over on the y-axis, G, and then Y, move it over here, G, and then Z, move it up. Another thing I just did there on accident, what seems to be twice, is if you started doing something and you're moving your mouse to decide how much you do it or where you do it, you can just right click and it automatically undoes everything that you've done since you pressed the hotkey. So if it's back here and I'm scaling it up and I'm like, oh, I don't want to scale it, I can just press right click and it goes back to its original size. And it just undoes that whole thing. So, and the axes work as well for rotation and scale. So if I want to rotate it along this x-axis, I can just press RX and it rotates it there. And then finally, for scale, I can do scale X, and that can make it into like a rectangular thing. Scale Y, or that's SY. and then SC to move it up and down. And yeah, I think that's it. A 10-minute video is all I wanted because I want this to be short and like you're learning the very basics. For now, just to like to be able to make the most simple thing and be like, I did this, this was my creation. I feel like that is something that the like donut tutorial deprives people from because it takes an hour to teach them. So I'm glad I was able to do this. This is my first video, so my goal is at the end of this week, after I publish the video, to get 5 subscribers. So if you could please help me with that goal, that would be great. Yeah, that's it, I think.